You better come with us.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to BACKTRACK Cinema. So, what is the greatest 80s action film? Well, we're going to find out here on BACKTRACK Cinema as we do a mini 80s action tournament. We got First Blood, The Terminator, Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Aliens, Predator, Rambo 2, and Commando. And we're going to do a mini tournament. We're going to talk about it. And I got my very special guest, All the Good Names Are Taken podcast, as we discuss what is the greatest 80s action film. So pop some popcorn, get a drink, and stick around.
Come with me if you want to live. You just don't turn it off.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching BACKTRACK Cinema. My name is Jason, and this is where we talk movies of the past that you know and love. And I got two very special guests from All the Good Names Are Taken podcast, Ronnie and Blake. How are you, fellas?
Doing good, doing good. Nice to be here on BACKTRACK Cinema.
He got the name right, Ronnie. I'm already impressed.
So we're gonna go. This video, guys, is gonna be great. It's like a mini action 80s tournament. I asked the question, what is the very best 80s action movie? And from the three of us, we came down to 8 movies, and that is Rambo 2, Commando, Aliens, Predator, Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, and my mind is going fucking blank. It is
First Blood.
First Blood and Terminator. There it is. Thank you. Thank you, Ronnie. It's going to be a casual conversation, everyone. So, check out their channel via the description below. And they do great content. We're all 80s fans here. What's what I love about you guys is your 80s content so good. It's you guys are so funny and entertaining. So this is an honor, man. This is going to be a great time sitting down with you guys and doing this, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
All right, so let's get started with our first matchup here. Rambo 2 versus Commando. Rambo 2 being a huge box office hit. Commando being really popular with fans and really, I don't know if maybe he went from Terminator to Commando. So, I mean, I've actually already done a versus of this on my channel. So I'll quickly just say I love Stallone. I love Rambo 2. I really do. But I think I have a lot more fun with Commando here. I think it's a great product of its time, but in a very good way, where the action is solid, the one-liners, the crazy villains, Bill Duke, I absolutely love in this. And it's a film that just I could watch over and over and over again. So I do give the edge slightly to Commando here.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what you just said. I like Rambo 2, but Commando may be in my top 10 movies of all time. I love it because there's not a slow part in it. It's like nonstop from the opening scene to the end credits. And like you said, the one-liners.
Want to stick the knife in me and see what's going on in there when you turn it. That's what you want to do.
But yeah, I'm giving the edge to Commando too.
Okay, so this is a no-brainer for me. Commando is one of my most favorite movies ever. I think that Commando might be the perfect, spoiler alert for who I think is going to win this tournament. I think it might be the most perfect action movie ever because there's no wasted time. You never feel like, man, I wish this would speed up. The one-liners are insane and great at the same time. The stunts are great. The characters are great. It's funny. There's action. There's a little bit of drama. He's living up in that great cabin. I'm not a big Rambo 2 guy because I've only seen it a few times. I love First Blood. I love Rambo 3. I watched Rambo 2 a few months ago and still not that impressed. I thought they tried to go the dramatic route with him and the woman and the whole, I got to save the Vietnam guys. But as I'm going through the IMDb here, Stallone, Crenna, Charles Napier, Murdoch, a.k.a. the warden from Ernest Goes to Jail. I mean, how do you get away with that? You've got the bad guy. You've got the bad guy from Beverly Hills Cop. You've got that chick. You've got the Cobra Kai guy, Martin Cove. I mean, as I'm scrolling through here, and the fact that Jason said that it was a major hit, $300 million worldwide compared to the $52 million that Commando got. I mean, it's hard. I mean, if you're going to argue what movie made the bigger splash, it's Rambo 2.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, it just, for me, it doesn't get much better than Commando. I mean, the fight with Bill Duke, where just the what do they call Blake?
The threesome in the bed.
No, not the threesome in the bed.
I was just gonna say titties out of nowhere.
He knocks him through the wall. Oh, look, the weirdest thing about that, and if you want to bring that video up, is he's on all fours under that cover. If you pay attention, so
right? Right?
Why is that weird? Why is that weird?
There's some wild stuff going on in that bedroom. But man, I think Bill Duke's actually the best bad guy in Commando. I like him more than Bennett. Like, I like that fight scene. It's shorter, obviously, but when he's this like, you scared, motherfucker? You should be. This Green Beret's gonna kick your big ass.
Look, Bennett is so cheesy in the fact that he's wearing the chain armor or whatever you call it. Yeah. His outfit is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure he's got that cool top on with the chainmail and the sleeveless shirt, but he's wearing jogging pants. Everything he says is like Shakespearean. Oh, these soldiers, they make me laugh. If Matrix was here, he would laugh too. And then you got the dad from Clueless. He might be the best bad guy because I don't know. Sully, he's a great bad guy. He's looking for Slash at it.
Whore.
You're right.
Me and my buddies used to laugh at that every time when he'd go, "You fucking whore."
He did a 180 when he said no. But Bill Dukes,
you girls want to see me kick some ass?
Yeah, the security guard.
Or the fact that Arnold could have died immediately by grabbing onto that inflatable balloon and swinging down like Tarzan through there. That thing would have broke away from the ceiling so fast and he would have fell and died. They could have rolled the credits. Dick Warlock, if you're a horror fans in this movie, he gets thrown down the steps. And
I think they both have killer scores, honestly. Both movies. Yes. I think they both have killer scores. I just think there's a lot more fun with Commando. Rambo 2, I feel like the love interest I think they wasted her. It was like,
they did. She died.
Yeah, but it was only to get Rambo pissed off. He was going to get pissed off and go after Murdoch anyway. So it wouldn't have been great if she would have while she was rescuing him, she ended up getting captured and then he had to go back and get her. And then they go off on this thing together, I think would have been, or maybe like a Missing Action 2, First Blood comes along. Then you take Rambo back to Vietnam when he first escaped, like did a prequel and then did Rambo 2. I think would have been a cool trilogy.
I think it's a shame we didn't get Commando 2 and 3. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like it was such a fun movie and the way they ended it, no chance. You know, I think we should have got some sequels.
It just seems like the general would keep showing up and saying, "Hey, John, we got a problem. We need you." And then he would leave. Like 3 movies in a row that Alyssa Milano gets kidnapped and he has to go save her.
Freaking Taken before Taken, man. Commando.
Right.
One of the best parts about Commando, and we laughed about it, I think it was either on our audio podcast, Blake, or it may have been when we moved to YouTube, is when they take Alyssa Milano and then they've got the Hispanic gentleman sitting there in the chair with his cool jacket and his smirk. And he's like, "Look, we're going to talk about some things, right?" And he goes, "Wrong." And he shoots him in the head. So, I mean, it's like a character they were setting up to be like one of the lower tier, but I guess like middle tier bad guys. And he just blows his head off immediately. "I'm not going to negotiate with anybody. I'm just going to kill you and try to get to my daughter."
And if you want your kid back, then you got to cooperate. Right? Wrong.
It's a great time, man. Commando's a great time, and you know, I never tire of it. Whereas sometimes I'll skip Rambo 2 and maybe go to some other ones in the franchise. Although I mean, I'm I'm a Stallone guy first, but I can be objective here and go, you know what? I just have a bit more fun with Commando. So Commando moving on. Is that what we're saying here?
A clean sweep for Commando.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
Ronnie, he mentioned he was a Stallone guy. If you had to choose, which one are you?
I'm a Schwarzenegger guy.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, asshole.
You guys aren't going to start sucking each other's dicks, are you?
You are?
Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer for me. I am a simpleton. I don't need somebody to try to act. I just need Arnold to look jacked, shoot people, one-liners. That's what people that aren't very smart like me look for. Stallone dipped his toes in like actual cinema, like he said. They were trying to make Rambo 2 an actual like movie with some feeling behind it. Then give the guys everything they want with the Murdoch battles and stuff like that. I personally think it slowed it down a lot, but I can see where people like that movie. I mean, but
you can make that same argument for some of Arnold's movies too.
Like what?
I mean, you talking about
strictly Commando?
You talking about putting feeling? Well, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, like Demolition Man, Tango and Cash.
They're all good. I love them. I'm not saying I don't like them. I love Stallone. But if you back me in the corner, I'm going to say Commando and Predator and Terminator 2 and Terminator.
So if they do the thing where you can only watch one of their movies the rest of your life, you're picking Arnold.
Picking Arnold.
Okay.
Though now that you got me thinking about Tango and Cash, I do love Tango and Cash.
Rocky, Demolition Man, Stop or My Mama Shoot.
I'm not a Rocky guy.
You know, you've got a big mouth,
I mean, I know people love Rocky and Rocky 2. I'll watch the very end of Rocky 2 where they both fall down. That's great. And then I love it when Rocky really hit its stride is when they said, hey, we're going to make 80 and 90-minute music videos. And Rocky 3 is awesome. Rocky 4 is awesome. And then it went back to crap with Rocky 5. So Rocky 3 and 4, peak cinema for me.
I like it though. I like because I need someone to battle against when it comes to Stallone and Arnold. So, but no, hey, listen, I'll pick Commando Man over Rambo 2. Now, as a kid, I liked both of these. I'll be honest, but Rambo 2 was insane as a kid to me, and that's my point. I was a child, but I mean, I had both these posters on my wall when I was a kid. I loved both these movies, but yeah, I'm gonna go Commando.
I just remember that Rambo 2 poster being the cover for the NES video game.
Was it?
I remember playing it. I remember enjoying it, but I was a kid. So,
what was the video store situation like in Canada back in the day? Did you guys have to rent? If you went to rent a video game, did you get it for a day? Did you get it for 2 days? How'd it go? Or did you not ever rent it?
As a kid, I remember having it over the weekend. Like,
yes, same here.
We'd have it over the weekend. And right up till I got married in 2007. There was still Blockbuster then, and I would go get movies for the weekend, like 3 or 4 movies for the wife and I for the weekend. And I do miss those days, man. I do miss like actually going into a video store. You can't really see it right now. I got VHS tapes all over the place here, so I love it.
Your background's really cool. It's like you got a little command center there. I see Rambo. I see Crystal Lake.
Yeah, my Friday. I love it. All right, this one's a lot tougher for me. I love both these movies to death. These are both in my top 5 movies of all time. So this is tough. Aliens is so good, and I love Sigourney Weaver in this movie. I love the journey she goes on, and putting all these great characters around her is insane. You know, Bill Paxton and Vasquez and Lance Hendrickson and Michael Biehn, from the Terminator doing this one as well. It's got such a great story with Sigourney Weaver battling her fear. She's kind of like in this. She's got PTSD. You want to talk about almost like a Vietnam vet, right? Pushing her back into the war and just that how tough she becomes. And I love that fucking jacket she wears, the brown jacket.
Yeah.
Through that movie and the relationship, her second chance at motherhood, and then it's just a battle against the Mother Queen against Sigourney Weaver, the mother against mother. Get away from her, you bitch! And it's just this movie is looks so good no matter what it's on. VHS, Blu-ray, 4K. I think there's actually a 4K release coming soon, which will look fantastic. And the sound design of those aliens that's going through the freaking vents and the it's just James Cameron just knows how to direct action. Absolutely, man. Just I love this movie. They both have kick-ass scores. Predator, again, characters.
I know.
I mean, every young boy should have to sit down as a rite of passage and watch Predator. That should be demanded of you. You cannot enter manhood until you've watched Predator.
I almost wish you would have seeded these movies so aliens could have faced one of these other four. I really do like Aliens. I'm not as familiar with the Alien franchise as I am with some other franchises. So if I remember correctly, and please tell me if I'm wrong, this one picks up right after part one and they rescue. Is this where they get her pod?
Yes, it's 57 years later though. And in the director's cut, her daughter grew old and died. And so this is where she's kind of lost. Now you don't see that scene, which is actually quite important for her character arc. And then she meets Newt. Newt comes along, and like I said, it's that second chance, right? And she just fights for this little girl, fights, and it's crazy. But sorry, you're right. It's 57 years later.
I remember Paul Reiser. I remember liking Paul Reiser as like a
scumbag.
He's a scumbag, but a likable scumbag because it's Paul Reiser. And although you mentioned it before, all those crazy characters, she finds out Lance Henriksen is an android, and the incident that she had with the android in the first movie, but this one turns out to be an actual okay android. And then at the end, when it all turned, you get to see these soldiers go from badasses to like most of them, are overcome with fear. Like the great line, game over, man, game over. Yeah. They realize, she has tried to warn them just how dangerous these things are, and they think they've seen it all. And it's a really good action movie. And I thought it was great what Cameron did is part one is, the suspenseful horror movie. And then part two is just the badass action movie. But like you said, when you start talking about this movie versus Predator, like I watched Predator, I've seen it over 100 times, I would say, in my life. I love Predator. I used to rent it at the video store so much that I bought the VHS clamshell copy at the VHS store. And I had it, the one-liners in this. And as I've grown older, figuring out, when you're a kid and you're watching Predator, you're like, man, look at all these awesome action figure type people together fighting an alien. But when you grow older, because I'm a terrible movie watcher, when you grow older, you find out they're like just a combat unit, and they're brought in to save or to find out what's going on. You find out Carl Weathers is using them to try to get this information. He's lied to them. They basically turned them into mercenaries so they would kill these people, and he could get the information he needed. And meantime, you sprinkle in a gigantic alien that is there to hunt like the tip top predators on this planet. And it's just, and everybody's jacked up. Like the stories they tell of what went on behind the scenes on this movie, where they had to set up a gym so these guys could go over there and lift in between takes, and they would like challenge each other. They said,
this is fucking male ego shit. And Stallone and Arnold were the most competitive guys with each other, with their movies, with everything. And you're right. They would get jacked in between who has the bigger muscles and everything like that. Right. And that's how it works. That's how this Predator works so well, because when they're in deep shit and they don't know what the fuck's going on, these big, awesome, buff action guys, they're terrified.
Yes.
And John McTiernan, this is a lost art. I'm telling you right now, guys. Tone. The way he takes this from a cheesy 80s action movie, which is great, into a serious fucking movie halfway through it, where the tone just shifts, but it's just flawlessly. It blends nicely, where a lot of modern movies, you're like, this fucking tone's all over the place.
Yeah.
But just the way he directs it's because once it gets serious, it doesn't go back to like this funny movie.
No.
No.
It changed. Once it changes, it's changed now. You know what I mean? Like I love that scene where he's like, they find Hawkins, but they just find the heart and the guts and all that kind of stuff. And he says, the same thing happened to Jim Hopper. And then Arnold's like, I want Hawkins' body found, double sweet pound and double back. Move, let's go. And the look on their faces, it's like, shit, man, they're going after it. They're going after it, man.
You're right. It goes from action, one-liner, typical movie until the point where Jesse Ventura gets gets the chest cavity blown out of him. At that point on,
I ain't got time to bleed.
or they grab the minigun and shoot the forest. They just kill the Amazon. And once the guy comes back and goes, we hit nothing. They're not scared of a man, but they are afraid of whatever's out there hunting them because they know it's not a man. And like their fear and their paranoia starts to sink in on every one of them. Even Carl Weathers, who I think plays it off the best. Like, it's just a couple of guys out there, but you can tell he's like, something is up. So, I mean, I agree with that.
The hunters become the hunted, and you see, like you said, it's not fear, but you see every one of their mentality change, like almost instantly. Everything that we're experts in our field, and what we're doing is not working. We can't figure out what is going on, and it's almost a perfect movie. It just don't have any titties in it.
Oh, look at the big titties. Yo, man, look at this titty.
Kevin Peter Hall, playing the Predator too. Arnold, everything the Predator did to them, Arnold does to him. Hiding in trees, hiding in the mud, surprise attacking. It doesn't get much better. I got to give it to Predator personally for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Predator as well. I think this movie actually, you talked about it having like, it goes from the one line in action movie to everybody's suspenseful and afraid, to the point where Arnold slides off and does that first blood drop 500 miles into the water. Then it becomes like a one-on-one battle where he's going to use nature to try to overcome the technology that the Predator has, like covering himself with the mud so he can't see his body heat, creating weapons out of wood. As ridiculous as it is, him making that bow and arrow and then them showing him shoot a arrow through the trunk of a tree. I love it every time I watch it, even though it's ridiculous. Him screaming in the woods. It's great. This movie's great. As much as I said Commando was the best, I'm changing it now. Predator's the best. It's awesome. I love Predator. I'm going to go with Predator too.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep for Predator. I agree with all the points you both made.
Oh, that fucking Predator score. I listen to it every day in my car on the way to work. Man, I tell you that like the you could work out to it. You know what I mean? You can and let me tell you something. The pacing of this movie, you talked about Commando. The pacing of this movie is flawless.
Yep.
I'd like to watch this movie without that music, just to see how slow the movie really is.
I'm sure you already know this, but same score as Mac and Me.
Is it really?
I swear. You after this, look it up. They got a scene by scene, shot by shot, side by side, same exact music.
What did they slow it down or speed it up or what?
I think they slowed it down in Mac and Me.
Oh wow,
that's crazy.
That's crazy. I'll have to rewatch that movie, but that'll be a fun one actually.
What's the better alien movie, Predator or Mac and Me?
Mac and Me.
What if Mac was in the Predator and the Predator was in Mac and Me?
So what you're saying is, what if the Predator landed? The Predator came back in that ship in Mac and Me and is terrorizing the family. and then these guys find out that it's actually Mac in the forest that they're after.
Right.
I think that would be fine.
Okay.
That's awesome. This movie, is popular, but I think it needs a lot more credit, honestly.
What about Bill Duke shaving constantly and he breaks the razor over his face and then the blood, it's so hot, the blood just disappears.
Yeah, and he's the heart of the film, isn't he? When he has that eulogy, he goes, he's talking to the moon and he's like, or he says goodbye, bro, and he drinks the Jack Daniels or whatever it is. And he says, whoever got you, I'm gonna cut your name right into him. I love him. Gonna have me some fun.
Gonna have me some fun. And then when Carl Weathers, him and Carl Weathers have that beef the entire movie because he gets that scorpion off of him. But when he's hiding, he goes, up there in those trees, I see you. And not knowing that the predator is staring at him the entire time. He knows they're looking at him, and they just think they've got the drop on him. I always wonder, because my mind just is different. I always wonder when that helicopter lands at the very beginning of it, what was their previous mission? Because these are the types of guys that are always on the go. They're always going somewhere for some type of mission. I would have loved to have seen a prequel to Predator where we see some of the other missions that they went on.
Well, I've often said that too. Like, I think this group, this cast, just in a regular action movie would have been something to see.
Yes.
Like just like a war movie or something like them on a mission, like you said. It's that strong. And the way they salute them with the credits at the end.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like, oh, remember this great cast?
Remember when Billy looked over his shoulder and smiled at us while he was holding the gun?
Yeah. I heard someone say online, I read something somewhere where it's like almost like when the curtain opens up at a theater play and they're all coming out the bow. That's kind of like what they were doing. They had their own little behind the scenes, like, him drinking the thing, Bill Duke going like this. And man, I love this fucking movie.
This is a great movie. So is that 2 clean sweeps?
2 clean sweeps, both Arnold.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
Unfortunately, this next one is very tough. This is a tough one. Just for some context here, Rocky is my favorite movie of all time. First Blood is my second favorite movie of all time. The Terminator is my third favorite movie of all time. I'm not going to tell you who's going to win yet here. This is tough. Honestly, this is tough. This is very tough. I watched First Blood so much as a kid. It was when I was angry at school or someone was picking on me or something like that, I could channel these emotions through this movie
and kill them.
But I love this movie so much. First, the great score, how serious it is. Like this is a serious movie with serious issues, and when it tries to interject humor, it's so out of place. Like when Rambo's like, he goes, "Don't look at me, look at the road. That's how accidents happen." It's just like, did you just say that? Like the whole time he's quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden he's talking and cracking jokes. But I love this movie. I know it's more of an action thriller, I would say. Like it's not a Commando. It's not a full-on action movie, but what you get when he breaks out of prison and then that great chase scene, him going up to the cliff, him dropping off the cliff, it just doesn't stop. Then you get that great Trotman exposition. All the dialogue Trotman gives in this, I think it's just absolute gold. I absolutely love it. And Rambo's breakdown at the end is just a great performance by Stallone. Underrated, I think. I think it's a lot better than people ever give it credit for. It's very emotional. And, I love what's trying to say here. What do we do with these guys coming back who have been trained to kill? Like, let's be honest, they've been trained to kill, and shutting all this off is challenging. And when he's lost all his friends and all that jazz, it's a great movie, man. It is one great movie. And Brian Dennehy, I love as the sheriff.
Yes.
I think he's so good. It's so intimidating and just a great, great, great movie.
Blake, you go ahead. I've been like talking over you way too much.
Way too much. I'm one of the few guys that I like Terminator, the original, better than T2. I think it is a great horror movie with Arnold stalking Sarah Connor for 2 hours. But I do got to give the edge to First Blood. I think overall First Blood is the better story. I like the action in First Blood. You mentioned Richard Crenna, one of Ronnie and our favorites. We loved him in Hot Shots Part 2.
And Summer Rental.
Yes, Summer Rental. He's great in that.
But Brian Dennehy may be the MVP in this movie for me. I think the way he plays the heel is almost perfect, and it is like you said, it's more story. It's a lot of action, but the story behind it, I think, is more impactful, if that makes any sense. So I got to give the edge to First Blood. I think it's the better over Terminator. I like First Blood.
First Blood is a better movie than the Terminator. I think the Terminator was a better spectacle than First Blood because you got the robots, you got the story, you got the incoming apocalypse, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger looking just jacked, playing a robot. You've got Linda Hamilton, Michael Bean or Bain, whatever how you say his name, Bean. He's great in this movie. You've got tons of suspense with what is going on at first, and then realizing this guy is a robot from the future. He's after her, getting the backstory of how she's going to be the mother to the guy that leads the rebellion, and he is going to save the world. I think that is like in it's a bigger scope of a movie. But I think if you're looking at the action scenes, I think they pale in comparison to what you get in First Blood. I know it's cool to see Arnold get, cut his eye out and things like that. And at the end, you actually got the robot moving, and the score for the Terminator is really good. It's iconic. But I love First Blood. And what you were talking about the, hey, don't look at me, look at the road. I guarantee you that was a Sylvester Stallone ad lib because he wanted to put some personality into this character. I'm not, 100% familiar with the novelization, but I'm pretty sure in the novelization, he's just a stone cold psycho in this movie, and they have to kill him to end this whole ordeal.
Well, the thing is, the way I look at First Blood, Stallone rewrote it and Frankensteined him. This is like a Frankenstein story, essentially, where like Dr. Frankenstein creates this person who doesn't fit into society. And that's what Rambo essentially is. And on the commentary of the DVD, Stallone, I think he mentioned that line I was talking about. He looks back at that line and he's just like, oh God, that line when I was talking about that too much humor kind of thing, some really bad lines apparently that he fixed. And so Stallone said, well, let's have him not talk at all. Let's have him completely shut down. Right. And good decision there.
It's better
for
if he
sure.
shuts down because as the audience, you feel you're sided with him. Whereas if he just goes in as an ass, you're tempted to sign with Brian Dennehy. Blake was right. Brian Dennehy is great in this movie because he wants to keep the riffraff out of his town. He doesn't want a bunch of veterans being homeless in the town causing problems. So just get your ass on the other side of town and go find you somewhere else to eat. After he has caused this entire problem and Troutman shows up and gives him what I think is a ghost story, like, I'm fixing to set the scene for you guys. You're all going to die if you try to go after this man in this forest. He is the ultimate soldier. You or your National Guard members do not know what you're dealing with. Let me handle it. Let me deprogram him. I can bring him out of the forest, and then we can end this. And Brian Dennehy, for a second, after they think they've killed him with the rocket launcher, he feels bad. And you can tell when he's sitting there with Troutman, he's like, feels awful because he knows he escalated a situation that shouldn't have been escalated. And in turn, we've had a war hero die. But the minute they find out Rambo's back, he jumps right back into heel mode and forgets all, of his previous feelings and goes right back into
vengeance, man.
It's
two characters who won't back down. They're both not backing down from this. And it escalates so fast, and man, it just really brings the tension, doesn't it? It can really bring the tension, and so much of it. And another thing too is the atmosphere in this movie. You want to talk about horror atmosphere? Everything feels cold, and it was fucking cold. I mean, Stallone's out there in a tank top, and when he goes up and finds that tarp, all that shit was there. That's not stuff they brought up. He found that tarp in the middle of nowhere, and he said, "Yeah, let's use that. Yeah, let's just use that. Wrap that shit around you. There you go." And I think this is a lot. See, with a lot of CGI now, this movie is practical. Like, and when he's stitching itself up, all the blood's leaking down his arm. It just looks so bloody real.
This movie is really good. And you brought up his scene at the end. You know, I don't know if in the novelization he just starts killing people in town. He decides he's going to kill everybody in town. I think I read that Kirk Douglas was originally going to be Troutman, but he turned it, you know, he left the role when they decided that Troutman wasn't going to be the one to kill Rambo, like in the novelization, that Rambo was going to live.
Yeah, well, Stallone wanted to, he felt it was sending a bad message because Vietnam vets come to see this, and that's what you do to me. You just gonna, I'm worthless. Just kill me, right? So Stallone and Kirk Douglas he wanted the ending of where Rambo died, right? And yeah, and Stallone just didn't want to send that message. He goes, "Yeah, I get it, Kirk," but so they had to rush around to find someone, and Richard Crenna literally had 2 days. He flew on the plane, got out there, went to the director. "I'm going to be leaning heavily on you. Because he just finished a role. I think he just finished a role where he was playing a gay man. So he was in character of this, the way he talked and everything. And then all of a sudden he's this tough freaking colonel, and the way he stands and everything. Like, he did a fantastic job considering how little of time he had to prepare.
Hello, Rambo. At the very end, you brought up, you know, Stallone's scene. Is that the greatest acting scene of Sylvester Stallone's career? Is that the greatest, you know, acting and dialogue that he's ever done? Because that's an emotional, hardcore moment for a movie like this, where this guy just goes, you know, I watched all my friends die. I was killing people, and they bring me back here. They're spitting on me. They're calling me a baby killer. I mean, what the hell am I supposed to do? You trained me to be a killer. Now I'm supposed to just turn it all off. I mean, why did you? Pretty much saying, why did you do this to me?
Where's the leg?
You know, where's the leg? I don't know.
Yeah.
And nobody would help. No one helped me say, "Please, I want to go home. I want to go home." He keeps calling my name. "I want to go home, Johnny. I want to drop my Chevy." I said, "Well, what? I can't find your fucking legs. I can't find your legs."
But yeah, it's like a super emotional ending, and they give you that great song as Troutman's leading him out. I mean, this is a great movie. You know, I thought, you know, when we were talking earlier, First Blood versus Terminator, why are we putting these two great movies up against each other? But if you want it, and this may not be popular for people watching this movie, like I've already said, I'm an Arnold mark. I love Arnold, but this is no contest right here. I don't think First Blood is by far, in my opinion, the superior movie, acting, action, everything that you want as a guy. Now, I know if your thing is sci-fi, the Terminator probably is more your bag, but everything about First Blood is great.
If we were to break this down it would take all night, but if we were to break this down into categories like story and acting and all this, I think the Terminator maybe have the best story of any movie. I absolutely love the world building and the story of Terminator a lot. Like, I think it's fantastic in every way, especially like action movies now. You know, what James Cameron does, he has a sex scene, but it's actually part of the fucking narrative. It's not just a random, you know, let's do it in the hotel like most action movies. No, it's part of the narrative. He impregnates her, which he ends up, you know, being this leader. She has a baby named John Connor, who's this leader, and this is the guy who sends Reese back. I just really love the story of Terminator. I love it. Like, I love the Terminator. So, but I am going to go with First Blood. And nostalgia may be a big part because I just love Stallone. I love First Blood, but Terminator hits both. Terminator actually I consider more of a perfect movie than First Blood, because I think in First Blood, I think there's a bit of pacing issues when he's in the cave and stuff like that, and some of the one-liners Stallone gives near the end, or in the truck, like I've already talked about, to this army guy, to this guy driving the truck. But I still got to give the edge to First Blood just because of that performance. That a solid story, the solid action. It's rewatchable. But these are both two great movies, though.
You just tell the Terminator to shoot Kyle Reese in the dick and roll the credits, because now there can't be a John Connor. You don't have to kill. You don't have to kill Linda Hamilton. Whenever you see Kyle Reese, unload the barrel into his dick and then roll the credits. Robots win.
Sweet. Is that a clean sweep?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. I wasn't actually expecting First Blood, the clean sweep, because I've seen some tournament YouTube things before from other guys, and First Blood usually gets annihilated. Honestly.
Those people
they don't know cinema.
They don't know action. They don't know. Look, you got top tier guests tonight, and we're rolling with Stallone. So that's 3 sweeps in a row.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
Now, this next one definitely won't be a sweep.
Nope.
No, this one's going to be different. I love this matchup. I really do, because
This is a good one. This is a good
87 and 88. One is the template for the buddy cop film Lethal Weapon, which draws everything from Dirty Harry, really. As Shane Black says it, that's what he was drawing from. That was the blueprint, Dirty Harry. And they're both action stars, John McClane and Martin Riggs. And this is something Stallone brought with First Blood, making vulnerable action heroes. They're both very vulnerable people. One trying to woo his wife, trying to get back to his wife, has that great moment where he's like telling the officer there about, give her this message for me. He's breaking down, I've been a bum, I've been lousy husband. And Martin Riggs is one who's,
he's trying to woo Murtaugh.
Yeah, trying to woo Murtaugh.
He's trying to die so he can join his wife.
Yeah, exactly. And they both have emotional scenes. They're both great characters. This is a great matchup. I mean, John McTiernan doing Predator, then going to Die Hard next. Wow, what a 1-2 combo that is. But before I get too far, I'll let Blake start this one.
For me, and I know you guys are going to disagree, this is a no-brainer for me. It's Die Hard. I'm such a fan of Die Hard. I had the flu or something when I was like in 7th grade, and I missed like a week and a half of school, and Ronnie made me watch Die Hard 1 and 2, and it was fantastic. I love it. The whole story of traveling across country and being in an unfamiliar place and not knowing anybody, being all alone. I mean, there's a lot of comparisons to some of the other movies we've already talked about with that, except he is in the city. Hans Gruber, just the one-liners in this. There's an argument that this movie may have the best one-liners, but
Yeah.
I've never been the biggest fan of the Lethal Weapon series, and I know that's probably a hot take. I have seen like all 4 of them, 5 of them, however many there are. I think it has a little bit of everything. I think it's got comedy. I think it's got a great story. I think it's got great action. The intensity. I'm going Bruce Willis Die Hard.
See, I'm going to go the other way, I think. Let me talk myself through this. Die Hard, you're right. It's great. It's a guy. He's trying to make up with his wife. He was the ultimate narcissist and said, you know what, honey, you go off to this great job because I know you're going to fail and come running back. And they addressed that within the first 5 minutes of the movie when the limo driver's like, you thought she was going to come out here and fall on her ass. And she actually became a super successful person. So he's coming. They're trying to work on their marriage. He's coming out there, see the kids, Christmas time. You can tell they're on the verge of getting back together. And he gets there at the time when these terrorists are taking over this building, and it's great. He is the perfect for this movie. He is the perfect good guy because he's not Arnold. He's not jacked up. He's a regular guy. He's caught without any shoes, and that comes in later, but he can take care of himself. He can make you laugh. He's emotional throughout this. And like you said, when he has that dialogue with Carl Winslow about just make sure you tell my wife and my kids, blah, blah, blah. But on the other hand, you've got Lethal Weapon, and you've got a suicidal cop that nobody wants to work with, whose wife had died a year prior. I may be wrong on the actual date there, but his wife had died in a car wreck, and nobody wants to work with him. And there's rumors that he's in it just for the crazy pension pay. And you've got Murtaugh here. What's his name in real life? I can't think of it.
Danny Glover.
You got Danny Glover, who is on the verge of retirement, and they're sticking him with this guy, and he just needs to make it a little bit till he can get to his retirement. And they set the tone for that early on with his family, saying happy retirement. And he finds out that this guy is actually crazy. He actually tells this guy, hey, if you're really crazy, put a bullet in your head. And he pulls the trigger, and luckily Glover's hand is there to stop the hammer from, Martin Riggs blowing his head off. You see a friendship start to form, and you actually see Martin Riggs evolve from the very beginning of it, where he is suicidal, to now you see there is something there that can be saved, and the friendship starting with Danny Glover. And then you throw in the actual case that they're doing, where some hooker jumps off a building at the very beginning of it. And then Tom Atkins is there because he was in the war with Danny Glover. And he's like, Rod, you got to find these people and you got to kill them. And they find out it's one of these military units that's been running drugs since Vietnam. And they're in the middle of that. So you've got great bad guys. You've got Martin Riggs. And you actually, towards the end of the movie, he tells Danny Glover, he goes, I was a sniper and I was freaking good at it. I could pop somebody in the head from 2 miles. And that actually comes into play at the end of the movie when they got into the desert. It's a great movie. And he is, like I said, with Bruce Willis, who is a badass because he's got that fight with Hans's brother. No, not Hans's brother, but the blonde-headed guy, whatever his name is. But you've got Martin Riggs, who knows all this karate shit, and he is great fighting all this. He's snapping necks. He's breaking that guy's neck when they're being tortured. You got Gary Busey, who's Mr. Joshua, who is, if you grew up in the 80s and you watch these movies with your dad, they always like Mr. Joshua because Gary Busey, you can't take your eyes off that guy. And he's great in this movie. And I think it's the guy that plays Dr. Wynn in Halloween 6. He's the main bad guy in this. It's a really good movie. I mean, you could flip a coin. I'm going Lethal Weapon because I think Lethal Weapon takes you around into a better story, a lot of action, and a lot more heart. In my opinion, Lethal Weapon with everything going on and all the backstories, I'm going Lethal Weapon.
Isn't there a love story between Riggs and Murtaugh's daughter in the first one?
No, she's just batting her eyes at him. She's just she's just a teenager who's hot for every guy she sees.
Yeah, when Peak Mel Gibson walks into the house, everybody is batting their eyes at him. He's gorgeous in this movie, mullet and all.
Both these movies, man. I love them both. I think Die Hard has the better action. I'll give it that. I'll just get this out of the way first. I've always been a bigger Lethal Weapon fan. If I'm judging Die Hard, just the original movies. Let's just look at the original movies. I'm a big Lethal Weapon fan, and I just think it has better character development and a story. Ronnie, you said it. You said it all. I mean, this Martin Riggs character, there's something. It's stewing and stewing. He's just gonna snap at some point in this movie, and then he's just like. And it starts with that sniper scene where he's just like, taking everyone out, and he's like, "Okay, good night, asshole." You know what I mean? And when McAllister comes up and says, "You're not that fast, kid." And then it's just it's tough 80s action guys when he's got them, and he goes, "It's going to be a shame when I fucking do you in." And he goes, "I ran to some of you pussies in freaking Saigon." Like he says, you could not intimidate Martin Riggs. There's nothing that would intimidate this character at all. And then he finds a family. Essentially, he finds a family. He's not suicidal anymore. And there's some great emotional scenes when he goes to kill himself in his trailer. And, he stops himself. You know what I mean? And you have the freaking building where he takes the guy. Do you really want to jump, man? Let's do it. You know what I mean? Jumps off the freaking building. The great Eric Clapton guitar riffs going all the bluesy music going through this. And a Christmas movie as well.
Great scene at the very beginning of it where you get to see the comedic side and that he loves the Three Stooges when he's trying to buy the Coke when he's undercover. And they're like, how much for all of it? And they're like, 100. And he starts counting out like $100. And the guy's like, no, you dumb shit, 100,000. He's like, well, I don't want that.
Now, did you guys see the director's cut? It was released on DVD.
No.
So there's one scene where it's Riggs' first scene before he is at the Christmas tree undercover scene. So he gets called onto there's a sniper taking all these little kids out.
Yes, I've seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and then he just empties his fucking gun into the guy. And man, I love that. I love that scene so much. I'm like, that just made the movie better for me. Like,
yeah, I remember. I have seen that, but I just love the little where he does the finger poke and the slap as he's arresting those guys. It's great.
Yeah, I didn't think Lethal Weapon would win, honestly.
Oh, you went Lethal Weapon, so
Yep.
I can mark that
Lethal
off.
Weapon wins.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
I like Die Hard 2 better than I like Die Hard 1. I'm sorry. I love Hans Gruber and I love the story around Die Hard. I think it's great. Don't get me wrong. But Die Hard 2, the whole scenario of that, I think there's a lot better characters. There's no Hans Gruber, but I like everything about being in that airport and him having to run to save his wife who's in the plane. And meanwhile, you got all the twists and turns with William Sadler naked doing karate at the very beginning of it and hitting the newswoman with, you can have a word, you can have two. Fuck and you.
That was the same shit happened to the same guy twice. Yeah. That's a hot take, man. That's actually a hot take. I can't say I like as much as Die Hard 1, but
I can watch it more. It's got meat from Porky's in it.
We don't really have to go over these again, but
round 2. You need
round 2. So whoever wins out of this one goes to the final, essentially. Predators is way better for me. I mean, we already talked about these two movies. For me, I watch Predator a lot more. I know Commando is still solid. It's still awesome, but I would go with Predator on this.
Blake, I don't know. You go, Blake.
This is so tough.
This is a tough one. My head's gonna explode.
This is so tough, man.
Look how gorgeous he is in both of those.
Golly.
You're all a bunch of girly man.
I'm going Commando. I'm going Commando. Literally, I don't have underwear on.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. Okay. One-liners, Commando, action. Is more action in Commando than Predator? But just him versus the Predator and all those jacked up guys. I don't know. Oh my goodness.
He killed everyone on Epstein Island in Commando.
He did. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh,
He blew up the fucking jungle in Predator.
yes.
They both have Bill Duke. It's fucking tough, man. I get it.
He killed a pig in Predator. I think it was a pig, a hog.
I'm sitting here. I'm playing the end of the movie out in my head, if y'all are wondering, and you got the awesome 80s.
That's funny,
track
Ronnie. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
And then at the end of Predator, you got him like just traumatized in the helicopter as they fly away.
Ronnie, he breaks that black dude's neck on the airplane in Commando and gets him a pillow and blanket.
He jumps off the plane and
Jumps off
survives.
the effing plane.
I'm going Commando. That's what got it for me. Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
He's dead tired.
How could I pick Commando over Predator when you got all those jacked up guys? You got Billy cutting his chest.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah, I got to go Commando just because. Yeah, I'm going Commando.
All right.
Commando.
So Commando is in the final.
Oh my god. I'm keeping track here.
Finish him.
Your flight attendants are Susan and Lance, and I'm
Flawless victory.
Commando going to the top, and we got to discuss First Blood versus Lethal Weapon. I'm going First Blood. I mean, I don't really have to think about this. I love me some First Blood.
Blake,
This is a piece of cake for me. It's First Blood.
There you have it.
It doesn't matter what I say then. This one was tough for me. I'm a major Lethal Weapon mark. Even the one that's got Chris Rock and the stupid jokes in it in part 4. I think these scenes with Jet Li fighting an older Martin Riggs are great. Oh my goodness. I'm going First Blood too. I love Lethal Weapon, but First Blood is great. I can watch First Blood like over and over and over and over. And I can do the same thing with Lethal Weapon, but I'm going to go First Blood. That's a clean sweep.
I'm probably going to watch First Blood tonight.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
This is Arnold versus Stallone for the top. First Blood versus Commando. Two widely different fucking movies. One so over the top and one so serious that it's honestly hard to
compare.
Really decide.
I don't know what you guys are going to pick because I feel like you guys are torn on these. I'm going Commando.
All right, so I guess I need to go second before. Okay, I'll go now. And Commando versus First Blood. Okay, I'm going to do a checklist out loud. I can watch them all as many times as possible and not get bored. The action is great. One-liners are great. I'm going. This is going to be this. I love this. I love this whole versus thing. This is good.
It's really good.
I'm going First Blood. I think First Blood is better. I think it's better than Commando. I'm not saying it's got all the. I know Arnold kills the world in Commando. I think First Blood is a better story. It's got great action. He's jumping off the top of a mountain. He's hitting those tree limbs all the way down. He's cutting up a pig. He's showing us all how to use the Rambo knives that we had when we were kids, how to use the compass and the matches and all that. He shoots Bryant Dennehy 57 times and Bryant Dennehy survives. I like it. I'm going First Blood, and that should tie it up, which would leave what right here with the ultimate decision of what wins this tournament.
Well, we don't. I don't have a Commando poster in the background, so I think we know where this is going. And if I could, I hope this doesn't fuck up my camera. Terminator and Predator in the background. First Blood is the quintessential 80s action movie, and that is our freaking winner. And thank God a channel has finally got it right.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
First Blood, the best 80s action movie. And I got 3 of us on here. This was all fair. I didn't rig this, guys, in any way, shape, or form. Hey, man, First Blood is so good. It's so good in so many ways. I love me Commando. Commando got farther than I thought it would, honestly, out of all those movies. So
I don't think Commando gets as far if it's set up a little different. I don't think.
What movie do you think besides First Blood would beat Commando out of these 8? I had a hard time picking Commando over Predator. Guys, you may call me ridiculous. It's literally the beach scene at the very end that was running through my head. No chance. As he gets on with Radon Chong and they fly away. I mean, just that rock score in the background. Do you take Die Hard over Commando?
That would have been really tough.
It's tough because Commando's so accessible and easy to watch, and
yes.
Even Die Hard, it's over 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it. That's so great about it. But Commando is just so, like, Commando and Rambo 2 are a really fair matchup because they're both that over the top 80s, just action balls to the wall. But
and I don't know if I'm contradicting myself with anything I said earlier, but I don't know if I take Commando over Terminator.
I do Terminator over Commando for sure.
Yeah.
Rambo 2 versus Lethal Weapon.
Lethal
Weapon.
Lethal Weapon versus Terminator.
Terminator for me.
Lethal Weapon.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this at you guys because y'all know these 2 movies better than I do. Aliens and Rambo 2.
Aliens.
Rambo 2.
Yeah.
Here's my deal. Like, if you had to seed these movies, what would be the number one seed and what would have been the last seed is the real question. Like, out of these 8 movies, and I'm not trying to hijack or anything, what would be the number one seed coming into this tournament?
So let's talk about it first. How do you place the seeding? Is it based off box office success? Is
Okay,
it-
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I got a series coming up. Hopefully I can get it done, but I'm going to be doing an Arnold versus Stallone, taking their top 10 movies. No matter what the genre is, their top 10. And the way I was doing it, I was taking the audience Rotten Tomatoes score, the box office, the IMDb, and maybe putting a poll out and just mashing it together. Because if we go by box office, Rambo 2 would be seed 1, but Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm talking like not just the audience and Rotten Tomatoes, Terminator is 100%. It's probably the best movie on the whole list. As far as like critics are concerned, as far as like if you blend it all together, I'm thinking anyway.
If you went critical, I bet you it's Terminator, Aliens, and then
First Blood.
First Blood.
No, because I've done the First Blood's 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now that's not just the only. If you look on IMDb, you can check out other things too. But I did it. I've already seeded that series coming up, and so there's some really wacky versus matches. Like I got Rocky 2 versus something that's not even the same. But I was just going by
the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah. But yeah, I think everyone seeds things differently, I think. What do the fans like and what do the critics like and what does the box office, and do like a blend?
I'm giving you $1 million idea right now for your channel. That's what I do when I come onto these channels. March Madness is coming up. What you need to do is you need to take all your time and you need to get 64 action movies. And not only do you get the 64 action movies, you need to seed them into 4 different regions. And then you go from there on this 1 8-hour video that you can make, and you break it down. What's the best action movie for March Madness? There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that. And I have thought about something like that.
I just can't pick First Blood over Commando. I mean, I love Commando, but if you're looking at it, I mean, whatever metric you want to base it on, if it's just mindless, killing and violence, I guess you could go. You go Commando. You don't have to think too much. But overall, with the characters that are in the movie, First Blood totally outweighs that with Dennehy and Richard Crenna and Sylvester Stallone. Even David Caruso at the very beginning of it. Can't you see? This guy's fucking crazy, man. Yeah. Stop spraying him in the dick with that hose. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, the tension in that movie, just keeps building and building and building, right? Love it. I love Stallone. I definitely know what watch party you guys want then. Commando.
This was really fun. I enjoyed this. This was unique. I went back through your channels because your content, and it may be you may have other versus videos out there, and maybe I didn't look hard enough. But I was like, I'm so worried when I come on these channels. I was like, they're gonna think I don't know anything about their channel. And like, you reached out to us like months ago. It may be longer than that, and you were like, "Hey, I'm doing this. Would you guys like to do this?" And I was like, well, we're not really doing anything with anybody right now. And I felt like an asshole for doing that. And then I mean, it's always good, but we don't go on anybody's channels. I mean, 1, we don't get along with anybody. 2, when we get on their channels, they get freaked out thinking we're going to say some crazy stuff like we've ever done that when we don't have an edit button. And I was watching your channel the other day and I was like, well, I say the other day, it was weeks ago. And I was like, man, this is really, I think I reached out to you, to be honest. I think I was laying in bed. Like,
yeah, you did.
Look, I can't remember what I said, but I was like, if you ever want to talk about this, we're in. And you're like, hey, if you want to come on, I was like, well, let's go. Let's just do it.
But yeah, this is a lot of fun. But you guys can go plug your channel. Tell us what is coming up on all the good names are taken. Do you got a short a short form for your name for your
Yeah,
podcast?
we
Like, is
say
it?
ATGNAT, but we were told that that was too many letters by some famous YouTubers, and that name would never catch on. So we just say all the good names are taken now because that really hurt our feelings. We don't say ATGNAT, which is the short form. But yeah, that it's a sore subject with that. You try to go to people's channels and they just shit all over your face whenever you
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
say hey to them. All right, Blake, tell them what we got coming up.
I have no idea what we have coming up, Ronnie.
The first thing we got is
but I will say this: y'all need to go check out our John Carpenter interview. One of the highlights of mine and Ronnie's life. We actually got to interview the master of horror, John Carpenter, and that video's uploaded. Go check it out, please.
We've got riff videos, we've got movie reviews, we've got weekly rundown. We do whatever's on our mind and whatever we think might be funny to us might be funny to you. Okay, sometimes it hits, sometimes it don't. If you like reviews of 80s movies, we're really off the horror to October.
Thank
but
God.
if you like reviews of action movies and just whatever teen movies from the 80s, come check it out.
Yeah, if you like Porky, Ernest Goes to Jail, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, we're going to cover all of it.
Yeah, so if you just want to have a
That's
good time, come check us out, and we'd appreciate it. And if you don't, no big deal. We probably won't do another channel. We won't be on anybody else's channel. Oh, I guess we should say this, Blake. We came on Jason's channel, so we like Jason. Don't reach out and ask us to come on anybody's channel because we're going back. We're going back underground. It's nothing personal against anybody.
Right.
We've
just met our 2024 quota.
We've met our 2024. We're not doing any more appearances unless now we have 3 on the rotation. We got this channel, we've got Darren, we've got Nick Push. Any of those 3 will go on. We're not adding any more friends into our circle. But in all seriousness, I had a really good time. Thank you for letting us come on here and talk this. This is really awesome. You got a great channel, man. Keep up the good work. Nobody doesn't like talking about 80s action. Yeah. Clint Eastwood, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, you name it. Where's Michael Dudikoff at? Because that's what we're going to be doing soon. You got to get some American Ninja going.
I got doing canon films in July. I'm sneaking in The Lost Boys because I just watched that and I went, fuck, man, I want to talk about this. I haven't seen this movie in years, and it is awesome. So I got that coming up, but I got
Blake, you want to do the saxophone guy real quick for
I was
him?
going to tell you, Jason, Ronnie actually went as the saxophone player for Halloween last year.
Do you want to do that dance real quick, Blake? Can you do it or no?
We should do like a Van Damme versus Chuck Norris with this gimmick, Ronnie. We should steal his gimmick and take it to our show and do like a Van Damme.
I was going to wait after we signed off here. All of his ideas that he said, I wrote them
down. I wrote them down.
No, this is what you do. This is what you do. You get like the 30 greatest action stars, and then you do like an action star versus action star. That would be a lot of fun. Like a football season, week 1, Norris versus Van Damme.
Yeah.
But yeah, this month I'll probably cover some Bronson. I'd like to do Assault on Precinct 13. I'm one of the few people who hasn't seen The French Connection, so that's coming this month.
I haven't seen it either. I haven't seen it.
And I hear it's one of the greatest action movies ever made.
It's
so
really
got a
good.
chase scene in it. Supposedly, everybody talks about this wonderful chase scene from The French Connection.
Yep.
Chevy Chase.
So
Ronnie says all the correct stuff, all the politically correct stuff about thank you and all this. I'm just saying thanks for not being a weirdo. This was really fun.
Yeah, it's always weird when you agree to do this because this is the first time we've ever talked to him.
Literally,
It could very easily been like a psycho or a weirdo or just like
you never know. My name's Jason. I got Crystal Lake behind me.
There you go.
You never know, but I'm sure the slaughtered lamb endorses me. So,
I don't know if Darren endorses anybody.
No, honestly, this has been fun. I love it. I love getting together with other channels. I love your guys' channel. You guys are fun. You're entertaining. You're like me, going back into the past all the time. And the comments you made the other day about keep doing the action. So I'm glad that people are noticing that Hey,
you
there's
put
a
a poll up. You made a huge mistake. You're like giving the people and all they want is horror, man. They don't want to. I mean,
well, I like to know what the people's thoughts are, but my channel was built on action. I'm not just gonna do 90% horror all of a sudden.
Blake,
Horror, I like to splash it in there. I like to splash it in there, right? So like I'll even with watch alongs and shit like that.
don't even give them the choice. Don't even give them horror, because that's what they're going to choose. They want to sit there. They want to watch the same shit over and over.
Yeah.
Michael Myers. Look, we love Jason. I love Jason, but come on, guys, we got to expand a little bit. Otherwise, so, I mean, I love the 80s action. I love the action movies.
When Chuck Norris does a push-up, he's pushing the world down. Get on with it, everyone. Just get on the train. I mean, it's awesome. I've often said, a B grade, like a real low budget action movie and a low budget slasher movie, they're kind of working in the same playing field here. They both have gratuitous violence, blood. They usually have blood. They have titties. They're working on the same level here. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you got to get onto that, like The Perfect Weapon or Pray for Death with Sho Kosugi. Or yeah, I mean, you guys mentioned some good ones. Van Damme, Norris. I like some Bronson, American Ninja you guys are talking about.
Yep.
Just fun stuff, a fun time for sure. But yeah, guys, check these guys out, Ronnie and Blake from All the Good Names Are Taken podcast. They are awesome, and they do such a good job over there.
Thanks,
so
man.
definitely check them out. And if you're new to this channel, like, subscribe, share the videos, and maybe I'm lying, maybe I'm not, but yeah, we're not weird here. We're all good, and we are talking movies of the past. My name is Jason. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time, and I'll see you in the movies, guys. Cheers.